Hello and welcome to the newest edition of One-on-One Sports. I'm Mason Stauff.
And I'm Thomas Hale. We have a lot to catch up on, but before that, Mason and I will be hitting the hardwood with this quick hitter. Over the past calendar year, a series of scandals has absolutely wrecked college basketball. Since last fall, when Louisville was exposed for an escort ring, new information has been continually uncovered involving impermissible benefits passing from universities, recruiters, and branding companies to student athletes and their families. This past week, some more big names such as Arizona coach Sean Miller were revealed in connections to bribes and more benefits. With the investigations ongoing and seemingly more information turning up each week, it's clear the scale of the problem is unprecedented, and whole-scale change could and probably should be coming to college basketball going forward. So Mason, how's all this scandal going to affect the game?
It's going to tear it apart, that's for sure. The
only big fundamental change is coming to college
all
basketball.
we know is that the game of basketball is going to remain 40 minutes, put the ball in the hoop. But everything else other than the on-court product is going to be completely torn apart.
Let's just talk about kind of what went down, first of all.
And again, that's another one of those things where we still don't really know. Right. All we know is that there was basically a ledger that was found and released that all these schools and all these players either had impermissible benefits passed to them and their families, or some kind of bribery went down.
They found that Adidas was working with some agents to steer their clients, to go to Adidas-run schools.
Right, and then you have other cases where not even Adidas being involved, but just the school was paying the players or their families to try and get them to come there. The Sean Miller case was a wiretap, about $100,000, trying to make sure that top recruit DeAndre Ayton went to Arizona, which he did. Yeah. Ayton's still playing, Sean Miller not currently coaching, though he is.
Which I find a little bit interesting.
It's very interesting, and we've seen no players currently removed from competition
yet.
And
honestly, that's probably for the better. These guys don't really have much control over their situation in these cases. It's all in the agents, and this might bring up a new point in that, do we keep recruiting with agents?
I think it's so difficult. Obviously, many of these kids are 18. They can hire an agent if they wish. But the politics behind this no longer, first of all, the whole idea of a student athlete is out the window. These guys are professionals in waiting.
We need to stop holding on to that idea of amateurism, because it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
When you look at scholarships that are given to other students that aren't athletes, they can have their papers reported on by different newspapers.
Right.
All these things can go into more professional formats, except for athletes.
And every single scandal that comes up is crazier. You had Louisville. I mean, UNC scandal just got resolved earlier in the year. Every single week, we're getting new stuff about how the world of college basketball is completely messed up.
Yeah, and one thing that I think this investigation opens up is you now see that the market is there for these athletes. It's the same as a professional thing. You're going to be bidding on athletes, and does it change how the NCAA does recruiting? Once again, is it going to be an open market? Top bidder gets the best player.
And the worst thing that's going to happen to all of this is that some of the names and the faces that we've associated with college basketball, some of the people we've had more respect for than anyone else in the history of the game, could completely get torn apart. Mike Krzyzewski could be gone. Tom Izzo, in his own scandal at Michigan State, could be gone. I mean, we already know Rick Pitino's gone at Louisville. John Calipari. The biggest names in this sport could be completely destroyed.
And that's if we find another similar connection like Sean Miller was, where he was sending out the requests to get players money so that they would come to his program.
And every single thing we've heard over the last week, whether it be from former athletes, current athletes, coaches, experts, or analysts, is everyone does this. This is not news to anyone. The only thing that this is news for is apparently the people that are reporting on it.
And everyone that's the funny thing is that the NCAA calls himself a nonprofit organization.
Right.
But as you can see, there's so much money just being circulated around amongst administrators, coaches, but not the players.
Everyone is feigning ignorance here. Everyone's like, what? I didn't know. Everyone knew it.
Exactly.
Everyone knew it, and everyone's been doing it for a long time. And what's going to change is that you can't feign ignorance anymore. This is too big, and this is going to be too grand on a.
And it can't be ignored at this point.
Oh my God!
Because a lot of these situations arise.
People are going to try, though, and that's the problem. People are still going to try and ignore it.
People are going to say it's too hard to completely change this system that we've got going, but it needs to change, because I think it comes to a point where athletes need compensation.
Athletes need some form of compensation.
More than a scholarship.
Well, here's my take on it personally, the whole scholarship payment argument. If you're going to pay them, then they can't get a full ride and a stipend on top of that, and room and board and books. If you're going to pay them, then they also need to pay for some form of college tuition.
Yeah.
They need to get themselves through that 1 year of college before they're getting to the next level where so many people are. But at the same time, still, the whole 99% of us will be going pro in something other than sports still holds true.
Exactly. You see a lot of young stars, say a young singer. He makes his millions at 15 years old. He can do whatever he wants. But a pro athlete that's on his way to the NBA can't get an off-campus job.
At the first point, regulations were there to be put in place to help try and protect the athletes. That's not the case anymore. These are not there to protect the athletes. They're there to protect the NCAA and the schools, and no longer are the schools and the NCAA being protected. And we know for a fact that these athletes are not being protected here.
And we talked earlier, how dumb do you have to be to just keep complete records of you cheating?
That is the big thing for me. How the heck do you have a giant ledger of all the cheaters right there? If you're going to cheat, at least be discreet about it.
Keep it under the table, but they found it pretty easily, dug into some computers, and there you go.
It was so easy. And that's the thing. It can't be this easy anymore.
Right.
It cannot be.
And hopefully it won't be becoming more difficult because they're trying to hide it more.
Right.
Hopefully the problem will be
Stop feigning ignorance. Make something happen.
Exactly. Let's keep it professional.
Well, that's all the time we have for this quick hitter, but after the break, I'll be transitioning from the hardwood to the rink with some NHL trade deadline recap. Stay tuned.